Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are talking about Harry and Meghan. Can you hear the sigh? You can hear the sigh. Just an interesting article out, and so we wanted to break it down and discuss it, and we had lots of thoughts on it, and then interesting things brought up in the comments that I just wanted you to get your eyeballs on and kind of wrap your head around because wild stuff going on behind the scenes. But here to discuss all this with me is my favorite co-host. What would I call you at this point? Partner in crime? Life partner? I don't know.
Duke of Giggles.
There you go.
I say silly things.
Yes.
Hey, this is Jay, also known as Dr. Bad Vibes. You can find me also on YouTube and Twitch, where I still say things.
But most of all, I would say you're Lord Gander. That's that's your title.
Yes. Honk honk.
Honk honk.
Show me them honkers.
So this comes out of the New York Post, and it says Prince Harry's curated public image is tanking, royal expert. I would go ahead and open that up and say both of their curated public image has tanked. Obviously, it's still continuing to do so, but it's tanked.
Prince Harry's popularity seems to be going downhill. This is news. According to royal expert and broadcaster Esther Kraku. Croc?
What'd you call me?
Sorry, Esther. I can't say
Esther
that.
K.
Esther K. The Duke of Sussex's public persona has tanked. The writer spoke to Sky News Australia, where she claimed that Harry, 39, and his wife, Meghan Markle, no age listed, are so adamant that they want to curate their own public image. Yeah, now, curate is a very important word in my brain because I don't know who is curating some of the things they do. It must be the Netflix recommendation system from like 15 years ago or something that's letting things like somebody should have curated Spare because like somebody let this grown man that's a royal write a high volume, I don't know how much it actually sold, but a high circulation book that involved his oscillating penis and rubbing his mom's cream on it. No one should say that ever. And on top of that, he was on mushrooms talking to a toilet. Was the toilet giving him advice? Is that how he gets this public image advice? I mean, it's like
That's his tanking.
Yeah, and that's why I'm comparing it to the Netflix curation because even still, it's like, hey, I'm going to watch all the Saw movies. Oh, I guess it wants me to watch Woody Woodpecker now. That's how mine would work, and it makes no sense, and it ends in disaster, and you end up not watching.
Wow, okay. You just explained Harry in a very Harry type way, but I see what you did there, and I get it, kind of. But yeah, to say that they're in the middle of a flop and have flopped is the understatement of the century. But again, they did it to themselves. They have nobody but themselves to blame. And unfortunately, the more they seem to do that, the more they actually fail. Harry and the former actress, she loves that, right? Not even a name here, just calling her the former actress. Oh, and there's the age you were looking for, Jay, 42. Departed from the royal family in 2020, made the grand move to Montecito. Since arriving to the West Coast, they have tried to become big players in Hollywood. Excuse me while I laugh. Releasing a medley of content such as their Spotify podcasts and their Netflix doc last year. Oh, and let's not forget the Netflix, I guess you call it doc that they just put out that's a huge flop.
They just called her the former actress, and I thought, did she ever really start?
Good point.
Yeah, but they didn't say her name, so is that intentional? Is she going to go after the newspaper for not knowing her?
Oh, yeah, probably. So then Kay adds that many people don't understand, but actually the royal family and their coverage of Prince Harry over the years, they really actually saved his public image. So that lines up with everything we read in Courtiers, where Valentine Lowe goes into the behind the scenes and how they did cover for him. he made it sound like Harry had a pretty bad anger issue, especially in regards to press, which we've all seen um, repeatedly, but that the palace would often try to cover for him and, put out the fires, right, and make it look like things weren't quite as chaotic with him as we've seen them become.
Ever since he's left and he's been completely in charge of his image alongside Markle, it's completely taint.
The failed actress.
Yeah, Esther K said. And it just shows that sometimes actually having the protection of people you may not always agree with is a blessing more than a curse, she noted. Despite the Invictus Games founder and the Suits alum making a home for themselves in the land of glitz and glamour, the prince is reportedly itching to get back to his old life in the United Kingdom. I can't imagine why. They have flopped spectacularly. Royally. That's the only royal title they still have. Royal flops. I mean, they completely bit the hand that fed them, thinking that there was another hand waiting on them, and that hand just gave them the middle finger when they showed up. And and then, to come here and criticize free speech and all of that, it's like, yeah, I mean, just go home. No wonder he wants to go home. And they could have had it made if they had just been people and been cool. They could have, they pretend like they want to do all this charity work when all they had to do was charity work to begin with. It makes no sense. And then it's like, okay, like we could do that, or we could do other charity and make fun of grandma on the way out. The queen, obviously. I'm just, all titles aside, you don't make fun of grandma. That's just weird. And, just making a stink the whole way out. I mean, most people probably weren't, in the U.S. anyway, weren't totally aware of everything going on until they made a big stink, and then that's what they see. And then it leads to South Park probably being the main source of information for a lot of people, and that kind of sums it up, right?
You just had to say you don't make fun of grandma. The fact that you have to say that in regards to Harry, well, both of them, is how crazy this whole situation is. Prince Harry's social life has notably shifted over the past decade, media expert Mark Boardman told OK Magazine, adding that Markle is frustrated that her husband wants to move back to his homeland. So Jay and I covered this in a separate video. I had so many strong opinions about how ridiculous that idea is. I can see him doing it. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that the UK should take him back. I think that guy sucks. I say it all the time. I think it's easy to get focused on the horrible things she's done, and there are plenty of them. But we need to continue to focus on what he's done as well. And something that occurred to me after that video, definitely go watch it if you didn't see it, but something that occurred to me is, it's easy to write him off as a doofus and all these things and then say, oh, well, maybe he could change if he dumped her. Maybe. But he was back there by himself for coronation, and we saw how he acted. He was hemming and hawing and just a sourpuss on his face. It sounds like allegedly he got straight there and straight back out of there. I mean, he was a wrinkled mess. Like, just obviously it didn't seem like he was there for the right reason. So, yeah, I don't think that guy's changing.
Yeah, how many times have they had opportunities to save face? Like, his Harry's dad, the king, well, at the time, not yet, but I mean, that was a historic event, a pretty big deal. I mean, I think anybody, if their dad or mom or, whatever relative were receiving such an accolade, they'd be like, hey, I'm going to go support them instead of like, meh.
We were there and more respectful about it than he was.
Yeah, and then he waved at us. Yeah. For real.
King.
Yeah. King Charles, not Harry. We didn't see Harry. Well, we saw the fake Harry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyways, going off track, but he had so much opportunity to not screw this up, and then he screwed it up, and then he's had opportunity to try to backtrack, and he just keeps making it worse. Same with Meghan, and it's like, maybe if they put in more than 1 hour of work a week, as per their tax filings, maybe that's something they could work on. But
They'll never work on themselves.
yeah, it's everybody else's fault apparently. But I mean, really, I don't know where they can go from here. I guess an open question, I guess, to the audience, especially those in the UK, like, say Harry and Meghan split, and then Harry comes back and he goes on. Say he somehow smartened up and went on like a country or international apology tour. He's like, "Well, I messed up," and kind of took responsibility for his actions and his words. I mean, would you forgive him, or would you accept him back in the public?
No, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot, so that's a big ask. But I'm curious what the audience thinks.
No, I think you bring up a good point. It's something we discussed before, but I can tell you, no, fuck that guy. He deserves every bit of this. It's his own making. It's his own doing, and that's where I was going with the coronation point. He was there on his own and had the opportunity to make amends or to just be a human, to start to bridge whatever. Not that they should forgive him, but I'm saying, like, he could have done something. Nope. Decided to be an ass. That's his favorite play, to be an ass. But there's something interesting that was brought up in the comments that we want to talk about and we want to read to you. So let's get to that. Okay, brace yourself for this one. This was a comment by Patty Cakes. You ready? H&M's idea of curating their images involves taking the freedom of speech away from anyone who disagrees with them. Their latest is contacting YouTube and having creators demonetized if they even question either of them. Okay, I'm going to leave this picture up while I talk because it frustrates me to no end. Obviously, understand that I have to dance around this because I have to. But it's so wrong. I'm hearing the same rumblings as you all are hearing, and I know people who have been affected by this, and this is just somebody's opinion, and this is just my opinion. I'm just hearing things. It is my opinion that this is what's happening. So all I'll say in very general terms is, if there's any journalists out there looking for a story, I'd say look into this one, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, let's pick up the mood. Here we go. Undefined says, wouldn't Harry need a good reputation to begin with in order to tank? Harry routinely proves he has no place in society, and this is Meghan bringing out the best in Harry, ? It's impossible to erase words and deeds once they reach the public's ears, and Harry and Meghan did it on a global level. They left an unfavorable impression on a large majority. No matter the project, Harry and Meghan's images are unsalvageable. So well said. I really like that comment. I thought they summed it up perfectly, and that's exactly how I feel as well.
That does bring up a very good point. As somebody that didn't follow the royal family until Jen, and especially back when Harry was younger, what little bit I knew, I mean, the reputation he had in my mind is like, oh yeah, that's the guy that made the questionable wardrobe choice at the costume party, and then made the questionable lack of wardrobe choice in Vegas.
At the pool party.
So I mean, it's like, oh, that's that's the royal family, or part of the royal family, and I'm just, from my perspective, not knowing anything back then, I'm like, all right, well, I guess he's the party prince or whatever, and so I guess not much has been expected of him, and then he's just like, hold my fancy beer, and just, I don't know, like, he had the chance to salvage it, and he's just made every bad choice along the way. So I don't know if it can be salvaged at this point. I guess there's a point of no return. So again, I'd like to hear everybody's opinion, and if you want to hear more from me on other things, such as I have a lot of airplane stories lately for some reason. I'll be tapped out after the weekend. But you can find me on YouTube as Dr. Bad Vibes Speaks, or if you want to look at video games, Dr. Bad Vibes, and you can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dr. Bad Vibes.
You can find me right here banging my head against the wall over these two and talking into the mic and honking at you lovelies. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. As always, we appreciate each of you so much. And I would say I can't wait to bring you more like this because I normally say that, but I can't with these two today. I just can't. So let's move on to something better. Honk honk. See, that's already better.